Hi everybody, I'm Ben Scofield, and I'm going to talk to you about mastery. But I'm not just going to talk to you about mastery. We've heard a lot about that, and if you look around, you'll see that our culture is kind of obsessed with the concept of mastery. There are nonfiction books, there's research, there's in our entertainment, there's, I don't know if you've ever heard of competency porn. It's essentially MacGyver, but updated for the 21st century, right? It's where you watch people being excellent at what they do, whatever that might be. It might be a criminal, it might be a con artist, it might, apparently they're all criminals, I guess. But regardless, mastery has sort of permeated our entertainment, and it's lied to us this entire time, right? It's lied to us via the training montage, where you can take any kid who's a child of William and Jada Pinkett Smith and teach them Kung Fu in 15 minutes when they can then beat up kids who have been studying for 3 years. That's not how mastery works. I mentioned there had been a lot of research, and the number that you hear bandied about is 10,000 hours. It's a long time. It's an even longer time when you realize what it's 10,000 hours of. It's not just 10,000 hours of, hey, I'm practicing my karate, or hey, I'm practicing the clarinet, or whatever. It's 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And deliberate practice is something very specific. It's not just noodling through the same song over and over again. It's not just playing with your friends, whatever game you happen to like to play. It's got 4 pieces. The first piece is you set a goal that's outside of your current range. You try, and you're probably going to fail because it's outside of your current range if you set your goal correctly. You ask for feedback, and this is why even professional athletes have coaches. Even if they can't do the activity, they can give you feedback on your performance, and then you try again. And what all that means is that the practice to mastery is continuous failure punctuated with occasional successes. This is soul crushing, right? Nobody gets into mastery because it's fun, because you're failing almost all the time. And sure, from the outside, failure might look like it's fun, but if you're the guy who just fell off his surfboard and is getting pounded by the surf, right, it's not fun for him. So the first thing about deliberate practice is that it's not fun. The second thing is that it's not actually useful. If you split your focus and you're trying to produce something useful while you practice on the path to mastery, then you're going to be less effective at both. Right? You can't get better at Ruby by building your own web framework. You actually have to try to get better at Ruby, and then you can go and build your own web framework. Now, you can do the same thing over and over again, but that brings you to a different place. And before we talk about that different place, I want to point out that I don't know of any job where mastery is actually required. Right? There are only a couple people in the world who can be at the best in the world at what they do, and their jobs don't really require that more often than not. For any domain, there's a hierarchy, right? You've got a couple of people who are masters up at the top. The vast majority of people are mediocre. Then you've got a smaller number of people who are adequate, and then you've got people who are excellent, and there could even be steps in between, but that's a good 4 levels. So let's talk about mediocrity. I think of mediocrity as the baseline. I will admit it, a mediocre chess player. I know the rules, I know some of the vocabulary, I know the lingo. I lose almost all the time. Right? And I lose because I've never actually invested any effort in getting better at it. Right? I've never done any sort of practice intending to get better. I haven't even played that many games. Right? I don't go out to the park and just play for fun or whatever. I play chess like once a year, and I lose, so I don't play anymore. Right? So the next level up is adequacy. And adequacy is actually a really important stopping place on the journey through your life to mastery or wherever you're going to stop. We're all at least adequate at our jobs, or we would no longer have those jobs. Right? If you're mediocre and you fail more often than you succeed, adequacy is where you start to succeed more often than you fail. And you can get here in a lot of different ways, but the most interesting is you can do it by practicing badly. If deliberate practice is this very specific, very rigorous thing where you set goals, you can become adequate by not setting goals, just doing the same thing over and over again. But once you realize that you're not practicing as well as you might to improve your performance, you can start doing that and move towards excellence. Now, excellence is kind of like the Sam's Choice brand of mastery, right? It's what you go to Walmart and pick up easier. It's the same set of steps, you just haven't done them as much. If mastery takes 10,000 hours, then excellence might take 1,000 or 100, depending on your field and how naturally gifted you are. But the idea is that it's a continuum, right? Now, the reason I talk about these other steps is nobody ever wants to talk about mediocrity or adequacy. They're not really interesting. But mastery is a really, really difficult thing to obtain. It takes a long time, it takes effort, and it's not required, so you have to be internally driven. So you actually have to make decisions about what you're going to try to master. We don't live forever, so you might be able to master 3 fields. What I want you to take away from this talk is that look at your life, look at everything you do, and make informed decisions about what you want to try to master, what you want to settle for adequacy at, what you don't care about, and you're willing to be mediocre. That's it. Thank you.